Welcome to my review of the 2021 Aston Martin DBX, a vehicle so good, a vehicle I believe in so much that I've actually put my money where my mouth is. That's right, your humble servant here bought a little piece of Aston Martin, and now it's pinkies up all day. And before I go any further, I'd like to take a moment to ask you to subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, but it's very helpful for the growth of the channel. Also, if you have a vehicle that you'd like to see me review, please do send an email to bruceknowsreviews@gmail.com and make sure to tell me where the vehicle is located. So now let's get back to it. The Aston Martin DBX was set to debut in the summer of 2020, but then COVID happened, and then they pushed it back to the fall of 2020. But let's face it, it could be 2021 when this is sold. It's dangerous, even exciting. It's kind of like buying a scratch-off lotto ticket. Only made more so because it's a great question mark whether Aston Martin could even survive this wait. But let's stick a pin in the Aston Martin financial situation and what I think is a massive opportunity, and talk about the luxury SUV and how we got here. And in my opinion, the luxury SUV started with a Mercedes-Benz what? You're a Range Rover guy? You think that they started it? Well, you'd be wrong. Range Rover came out, what, in the 70s? And then 20 years later, the competition came around? No. The Range Rover came out and nobody cared. Didn't make a dent. Stop it. So Mercedes-Benz came out with the M-Class in the mid-90s, and immediately it was a smash hit. Couldn't make enough of them. In fact, Mercedes-Benz left some money on the table because had they understood the market better, they would have built a better luxury vehicle and they would have been able to price it higher. You know, that's what happens when you're the first to market. You have to prove a concept, and what did Mercedes-Benz have to compare back then? Well, probably the Jeep Grand Cherokee, and the original ML is, it's very similar to the Jeep Grand Cherokee of the time. It's not a luxury car. And look, you think Kentucky Fried Chicken came up with a perfect chicken recipe the first time around? It probably didn't. Probably took several tries. And Mercedes did really great for a first time out. And right after Mercedes-Benz's great success, everybody else followed, not surprisingly. And I do apologize because I'm sure to forget some of the names, but Lexus, Infiniti, Acura, BMW, Audi, Porsche, and you want to talk about niche high-end manufacturers getting into this, Bentley, Rolls-Royce, and the most insulting one of all, Lamborghini. Lamborghini is already in this market. Let's go back and talk about Porsche, the company that most closely resembles Aston Martin right now, but back in the 90s. See, back then, Porsche was a niche sports car manufacturer selling a 30-year-old product that was frankly outdated. They needed to make some radical changes. And what did Porsche do? They introduced a Porsche Cayenne. Blasphemy! A luxury sports car manufacturer selling SUVs. It was a huge success and catapulted Porsche from niche to full-fledged car manufacturer, which is akin to a BMW and Mercedes-Benz. And let's face it, at any given time, there's just not a whole lot of people buying two-seat sports cars. And now Aston Martin finds itself in a similar predicament to Porsche back 20 years ago. They need to make some radical changes. They need to make some money. And that is exactly what the Aston Martin DBX is. A cash cow. And even though the Aston Martin's going to be the last one to market, it gets to benefit from all those previous SUVs. And it's going to be the best. And it's not too late for Aston Martin either. It doesn't matter who's first, second, fifth, 20th to the buffet. What matters is that you get there before they take down the omelet station. And it's not like Aston Martin doesn't have something unique to bring to the table. This is a company that's 100 years old plus. But their history really is interwoven with a particular spy from the British Secret Service that made these cars famous. Famous for driving around with good-looking people dressed to the nines, famous for having machine guns shooting out the front, famous for spraying oil spraying oil out the back to keep people from following them. But unfortunately, Aston Martin are also well known for spraying oil regardless of if somebody's following them or not. But, you know, they've gotten really good in the recent years. They're much more reliable, and their products are awesome. Right now, they're coming out also with this other product called Aston Martin Valkyrie, which is, by God, this thing looks like a spaceship. It's like a spaceship. I've never seen anything close to this coming to production. But they're getting ahead of themselves because in order to produce cars that look that awesome and are going to be sold for like $5 million to, I don't know, 20 people or whatever, you need to be producing products that are actually making money. And that's where the DBX comes in. I'm not really going to get into the design of the DBX all that much. Let's just say that brushstrokes, it looks like an Aston Martin front, side, and back. Just beautiful. I mean, as beautiful as you can make a big spacious box. It's got an amazing interior. The interior, actually, the packaging is incredible. And things that Aston Martin is justifiably famous for, such as the interior quality and the look and the experience, well, it's all there. On top of that, Aston Martin struck a deal with Mercedes-Benz where they get to dip into the parts bin of Mercedes and take the best parts that Mercedes has to offer. And in this case, we're talking about that V8 twin turbo that it is a piece. Thing is powerful, sounds incredible, it is reliable, that's world class. And also from Mercedes-Benz, Aston Martin's getting all that stuff behind the dashboard. If not done properly, will make a vehicle unreliable. Well, the DBX tends to be the most reliable Aston Martin ever. And I know that's like being happy that you bought a pair of socks and it actually came with 2 socks. That wasn't always the case with Aston Martin. So why do I think that Aston Martin presents such a great opportunity right now? Well, Aston Martin is one of the most famous brands in the world. It's an aspirational brand. Right now they're beaten down. Nobody expects them to survive. And they're about to introduce a vehicle that's gonna, what, quadruple their sales? Talk about opportunity. Usually when opportunities like this come up, the stocks already get pumped up by institutions and professional professional gamblers, professional investors. But that's not happening right now with Aston Martin. I think it's flying under the radar. And yes, it could go under, could not survive. But in my experience, companies with strong brand names, they survive. They may not survive on their own, but they get bought out by other companies because a strong brand like Aston Martin, there's value in that. So, you take the risk. YOLO! But there's another better reason why I like Aston Martin right now. See, earlier this year, around February or March, Aston Martin was cash strapped and they needed money to build the Aston Martin DBX. So what did they do? They found this, I think, a Russian billionaire who gave him a loan in order to get him through the hard times. Now, when a company agrees to take money from a private investor, in order for it to be a worthwhile risk to that investor, they gotta sell some stock to him at a very, very cheap price. In this case, Aston Martin was worth about $13 billion when he made a deal to buy it at essentially the market value of about $1.3 billion. So he got like a 90% discount on the stock. He stands to potentially make 10 times the profit. Now that kind of profit margin is similar to what the mob makes lending out money, but you don't have to be a mobster to make that kind of money. You don't have to be smart like this billionaire either. You'd be stupid like me and still make that kind of money, because in the meantime, since that guy gave him that loan, COVID is still dragging on, Aston Martin's still not selling any DBXs, and the stock price has plummeted to such a degree that now the market cap is about $1.3 billion. So essentially, you can buy the stock right now for the same price that this guy did. Now doing so is not going to make you a Russian billionaire. You're not going to be invited to polar bear hunting trips with Putin. You're not going to be able to afford 300-meter mega yachts with a helicopter pad, but you can drink your Diet Pepsi with your pinky up. And that brings us to the end of this video. Now, if you agree with me or disagree with me, leave a comment. Let me know about it. If you enjoyed this video, do consider subscribing and hit that like button. It doesn't cost you anything. You can take those savings and apply them to Aston Martin stock. And if you win some, good for you. If you lose all your money, I don't want to hear about it. I'm not a professional investor. It's not what I do. But I do love Aston Martin. And I like gambling.